Breaking news right now coming out of Plateau State. People are talking about a massive victory, and this one is really giving the people some relief because locals have managed to dislodge armed groups from their communities. For a long time, the story from Plateau has been sadness, has been fear, has been families running. But today the news is different. The gist is sweet because communities are now the ones celebrating that they were able to push back. Please, as you are watching this gist, don't forget to like this video right now and also subscribe to this channel so you can always be among the first to get these real updates. Now, let me take you inside this story. Plateau has been known as one of the most troubled areas in the middle belt of Nigeria. Time after time, villages have been attacked, houses burnt down, people displaced, children and women left stranded. In many cases, attackers come at night when people are asleep. They break into communities, they burn homes, they chase people into the bushes, and they destroy farms that families depend on. But this time, locals refused to fold their arms. They said enough is enough. They formed vigilante groups, they stayed awake at night keeping watch, and when the militias came, they faced them directly. Reports reaching us say that with courage and determination, these villagers stood their ground, and together with little backup from security agents, they chased the attackers out of their lands. If you are still listening, my people, kindly hit that like button, it really helps us. And don't forget to subscribe too, so you don't miss the follow-up to this gist. Now imagine the feeling of those villagers. For weeks, maybe even months, they have been sleeping with fear in their hearts. Every noise at night sounding like danger. Families couldn't farm, children couldn't go to school, everybody was living with uncertainty. But suddenly, they see their young men, their neighbors, even old people rising together to protect the community. And not just protect, but win. The shouts of victory, the joy of knowing that at least for today, the invaders have been sent packing, is something many of them will never forget. But as sweet as this gist sounds, let's not forget that such victories are not always permanent. Attackers sometimes retreat today only to come back another day. That is why people are still calling on government to strengthen security in Plateau so that villagers will not continue to live in fear. When you hear locals dislodge militias, it sounds very strong, but let's break it down so everybody can understand. It means the attackers came into the villages, but instead of the usual story where locals run away, this time the locals said no, they will fight back. They gathered themselves maybe with local guns, cutlasses, sticks, stones, and even with their knowledge of the land, and they pushed these groups out. In some cases, the attackers run because they don't want to lose more men. In other cases, the military arrives just in time, and the attackers are forced to leave. So what happened is not magic, it is a mix of bravery, timing, and sometimes the element of surprise. And that is why the whole plateau is talking about victory. Please, if you are still here with me, take 1 second to like this video right now, and also make sure you are subscribed because we will continue to give you gist that others are afraid to tell. Now let us also talk about why these fights keep happening in the first place. Because you cannot understand the victory without understanding the struggle. Plateau is a very fertile land, blessed with good soil, water, and rich farming communities. At the same time, herders also move with their cattle looking for grazing routes. But as the population grows, land becomes tighter, farmland expands, and grazing routes become smaller. Add climate change into the mix, add politics into the mix, and you see why clashes happen. When people carry weapons, these clashes become deadly, and when the state cannot provide enough protection, locals are forced to defend themselves. So what we are seeing now is not just about one fight, it is about deeper issues that have not been resolved for years. And here is the human side. Behind every headline, there are mothers who have lost their children, children who can no longer see their parents, farmers who wake up and find their farms gone, entire families who sleep in displaced people camps with no roof over their heads. This is the pain Plateau people have been living with. That is why when they finally succeed in chasing attackers away, it is not just a military victory, it is an emotional one. It is like telling themselves, We are not helpless. We can still protect our homes. But it comes at a price because lives are lost even in the fight back. And that is why people are urging government not to let communities fight alone. My viewers, are you still with me on this gist? If you are, then please let me see your support. Press the like button right now. Drop a comment telling me what you think about this story. And most importantly, subscribe so you never miss our updates. Now let us go deeper into the reality of what this so-called victory means for the people. When locals fight back and dislodge armed groups, it does not only mean that attackers run away, it also means confidence is returning. Confidence is something that has been missing in Plateau for a long time. People have been living in fear. They have been sleeping with one eye open. They have been doubting whether the government can protect them. But when they succeed in defending themselves, even for one night, that fear begins to reduce. Parents who could not farm before may try again. Children who could not go to school may begin to step out again. Markets that were closed may slowly open. That is the real meaning of a local victory. It is not just about guns and fighting. It is about restoring life back to normal. And this is why people are talking about it with joy. Please, if you're still enjoying this gist, do me that favor, like this video right now and subscribe so you don't miss more updates as we continue. Now, let us also look at the risks. Because while it is true that locals won this round, there is always the possibility of retaliation. When an armed group suffers defeat, they may want to come back stronger. They may go and gather more men, get more weapons, and choose another time to strike. This is why security experts always warn that community victories, while sweet, should be backed by government action. Soldiers should be deployed, police should be present, and leaders should call for calm and dialogue. Without this, what looks like victory today can sadly turn into another round of attacks tomorrow. So people are celebrating, yes, but they are also staying alert because they know the situation is not over yet. One thing we also need to talk about is the role of vigilantes. These are local people, ordinary men, sometimes farmers, sometimes youths, who decide to protect their villages. They don't have the same equipment as the attackers. They don't have the same training as the army, but they have determination. They have knowledge of the terrain and they have the motivation to defend their families. Many of them patrol at night. Some use whistles to raise alarm. Others stand guard at farm roads. They are the first line of defense in many of these communities. But at the same time, they are also the ones who suffer heavy casualties when attacks are very strong. That is why people are calling for vigilantes to be better supported, trained, and coordinated with official security. Because without them, many communities would have been completely wiped out by now. If you are listening, please hit the like button again. It takes just a second. And also subscribe so that together we continue to grow this channel and give voice to stories like this. Now let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a small village on a plateau hillside. Families go to bed after a long day on the farm. Suddenly, late at night, gunshots are heard. In the past, people would scatter, running into the bush, praying for safety. But this time the story is different. The young men of the village have already agreed to keep watch. They are hiding in corners. They are alert. They are ready. When the attackers approach, they raise alarm. Villagers come out and together they stand against them. With noise, with fire, with resistance, they make the attackers realize that this village will not be easy tonight. Slowly, the attackers retreat. They run back into the forest, and for the first time in a long time, the village feels some victory. That is the picture behind this headline. That is why you are hearing that locals dislodge militias. But beyond the fighting, there is also the question of rebuilding. Because when attackers strike, even if they are chased away, damage is already done. Houses may be burnt, farms destroyed, animals stolen, people killed or injured.
After a fight, families still need to pick up the pieces, rebuild their homes and heal their wounds. Children who saw violence with their eyes carry trauma. Women who lost loved ones carry heavy grief. That is why the story cannot end at locals dislodged militias. The story must continue to how those locals will be supported to live again. This is where humanitarian support comes in. Relief agencies, churches, mosques, neighbors, they all have to step in to help. Because without support, the cycle of pain continues even if the attackers have been chased away. My people, if you're following this story closely, please don't forget again, like this video and subscribe to the channel, because your support is the reason we can keep talking about these real issues.